Hello. Welcome. Last time on the show, we pulled the best Ryukishi prediction we have across the entire series of Umineko, Higurashi, and Kikonia.
We broke our record.
And really, the playthrough should have ended there, but we decided to keep going in the off chance that we can beat Ryukishi to the punch.
Yeah, just in case we can literally say what the next line is going to be and just quote. You know, really, we should just write the end of this arc rather than reading it. We should just try and write the rest of it. I think we can do a good job of it.
Actually, now thinking about it, I really have like no solid guess as to what's going to happen once we get to the end of this stretch.
Do you have any non-solid guesses?
I mean,
what do you think is going to happen in the story? What do you think is going to be the occurrences? Do you think there's going to be twists and turns?
It's like, oh man.
Yeah, because like what we're doing right now, to recap from like 5 episodes ago when we actually talked about what we're actually doing here, is that Hanyu is like looking through all of the possible events from the time before the story begins, right? Before we like cut to an arc at like the beginning of the time loop. And she's trying to line up all of the events in the most favorable fashion for this like final thrust, this final attempt at like fixing everything and making sure everyone can like have a happy ending. Do you think that that's just going to happen?
I feel like the most thematically accurate way for this to wrap up is that somehow we find a fragment which is like a world where Hifumi Takano's research is accepted in one way or another, and Takano goes, "Oh god, I am a psychopath. You guys are all right," because, you know, it's all about talking and communicating with your friends.
Sure.
And that's what the whole story's been about. But at the same time, I really have no feasible explanation for how Ryukishi could pull that out, like pull that off without just some serious bullshit.
Without just like writing an entirely new backstory of like alternate events or whatever that doesn't make any sense. Possibly set in a war zone in, I believe, Afghanistan.
Yeah.
That would make sense, I think, if that was a thing. Shout out to Rewrite. God, what a fucking trip that story is. Anyway.
Yeah. Because like the thing is I guess thinking back on it, I can't think of like any big visual thematic imagery or like consistent idea that feels like a resolute finish to this. You know, the story is probably we beat Takano and we fade to black before we get to see what happens after the Endless Dune.
Sure.
But I don't know how that's gonna work. I feel like the mood of the story is not such that we're going to end up just fucking letting Takano win effectively.
Okay. The
closest I think we'll come to letting Takano win would be Rika sacrificing herself in one way or another.
Okay.
And, you know, maybe accepting that like everyone else goes past the Endless Dune but her.
Interesting. You think she might pull a Jesus, effectively?
Something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't think that there's like a single thematic element that I can adhere myself to that would give that away just yet.
That's fine. It's fine. Let me know if you have any like sudden blasts of inspiration on what you think might be happening here. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see. We'll have to find out, and I'm gonna be blown away by how much exposition there is in this version of the story. Yeah, I will say I am. Oh my, that's a scary face she was pulling there. I am. What's the word I'm looking for? Interested, intrigued. I don't know. Just like the fact that there is so much more. Like we've been sitting here of like an hour an episode on all these different flashbacks. We've done 5 of these flashbacks now, like series of fragments. And I think that the anime like covers them in like 2 episodes. Like, and I think it was more or less fine. I am looking forward to going back and rewatching Kai with you once we finish this. I really do want to do that because I feel like I like understood most of this stuff just in the like 2 or 3 episodes that they threw at us.
I mean, this feels more like reading the wiki than it does playing out the story.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk a lot about this, I think, in the closing of this episode, but like put a pin in this, but like what Ryukishi considers to be important to tell the reader. Like, because obviously this is a murder mystery story in which he's not just telling us like how the murder happened. Like that's what we kind of did in Arc 7.
Yeah.
He like explained who the culprit is and how they did the murder. We already learnt the why in the prologue of this arc. And so what is all this? What is all this fragment bullshit? This is just like explaining the bits and pieces and the details and like all the world building that Ryukishi has already kind of shown us through like the events of the story. It's like we're seeing behind the curtain. And I imagine that Ryukishi like really enjoyed writing these scenes and like showing, I think particularly getting to see Irie's like internal struggle is really, I think that's really like potent. But a lot of it is just like, so you may have figured out that this is a thing that happened. Let's like spend 20 minutes like going through the exact conversation. And I don't know if it's like super strong storytelling. But it's interesting. It's interesting that Ryukishi like feels the need to write this to like explore every little tiny piece of theorizing and explaining that we could be doing, and saying what's right and what's wrong, and like every little detail is exposed.
I think a couple of episodes ago, I was saying like it's kind of nice that they left Sadako's maybe murder of her parents unanswered. No, and then they just did it anyway.
Yeah, like I guarantee you, by the end of us finishing this story, there is going to be no room for debate on anything because Ryukishi is just going to just explain everything. Every little detail that he thinks is like worth explaining, he just will explain.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Like you can have a story like that. I mean, that's why I liked Higurashi when I first experienced it. I was like, oh, I get everything now. Oh, damn. But yeah. Anyway, let's continue. This is number 26, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're halfway through almost. There are 52 in total, so
Jesus.
So if you've been enjoying the last 5 weeks of content, there's 5 more coming your way. All right. 26 is on Screen 1. Mm-hmm. Screen 1. There should only be a couple of these left, actually. 3 left, there should be. Okay. Which one do you think it is? We're in Capsule, the third. You know what? Fine. It is that one. It is the third sacrifice. The situation has changed. Rika's father suddenly changed his mind about having her help out with the research. When Rika came down with a high fever the other day, her mother, who wasn't happy about her daughter helping in the first place, finally blew up.
I was hoping the father would convince her somehow, but now he seems to be on her side. Rika's father didn't get emotional like her mother, but he demanded that we make our research plans for Rika clear, and that we finish our research within 3 months at most, which was completely unrealistic. Research can't have a deadline, that's out of the question. We cultivate results by grinding down our knowledge, skills, and time. To take time away from us is like taking away what's vital to live. How could he say such thing?
Curses.
I want to say before you hijack it again, this fragment does follow on nicely from the one that we just had with Tomitaki, where she was like, here's an element of my backstory. You better not tell anyone. You better not get in my way. There'll be lots of problems if you do. And we're just immediately cutting to, like, here's some people getting in my way. How do I deal with that?
Rika's parents are only saying that because they don't know anything about scientific research. However, as they are the parents of the Queen Carrier, we are completely lost about what to do. Tests and experiments on the Queen Carrier are an essential part of our research into Hinamizawa syndrome. Her existence is the focal point of our work. To lose her would be like losing your sense of direction out in open water.
Oh.
Rika's providing her cooperation with our research, but the withdrawal her guardian's consent could be a setback.
But the withdrawal her guardian's consent.
Yeah, with the withdrawal her guardian's consent. With the withdrawal.
Also, how is it that Rika comes into this and is like, I know you're dissecting Sadako, and then comes along, they kidnap her parents, and she's like, who could it possibly be?
Yeah, well, that's probably something we're going to explore here. Maybe she does know, and she just thinks
but the entire tale of the last arc was her not knowing.
I know, it is very strange. I think that her concern in the last arc, if I remember correctly, was about like her own death and like I don't know. I'm sure we'll have this illuminated for us, exactly what it is that she's unsure about. It's been a while, okay?
It just feels inconsistent.
But you're right in that all of the characterization we're getting here and like the conversations that Takano and Ire have with Rika, it makes it so incredibly clear that she should not have to decide between which of them is the bad guy, which is such a big point in Arc 7 for no reason. And again, I think this is something that's just removed from the anime. I think that's a good decision because she's like, who could it be? The ditzy maid doctor or the lady who stares daggers at people and talks about torture all the time? Like, which could it possibly be?
And like, I saw a few people in the comments a while ago being like, well, you know, that's your insight as the readers of the story. But we're clearly seeing here that Rika had those insights.
Yeah. Like I actually found it more defensible. I think I was defending it actually last chapter, and in the context of Arc 7, it is because we don't have all of this extra information that Rika clearly has access to. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it is also about just like how like she's going through it over and over again, and she can't think straight, and she doesn't really try. But like she's trying in these fragments that we're seeing, which is interesting.
Yeah, the partial defense, I guess I maybe would accept is that like her having the insights in this arc is a follow-on to Arc 7.
Yes, that's the best kind of implication that we can draw on here is that these fragments aren't just like events; they're like events that Rika is like knowledgeable about and has had input in.
But
because maybe there's a version of these events where Rika like didn't really have as much of an input. You know?
But it seems both that the village is getting to the same point by the time we get around to the later arcs anyway, and that a significant portion of last arc was that, we can't go back any further than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And whilst in Rikishi's defense, I did say that seemed entirely arbitrary based on how
her willpower
Hanyu was feeling. Yeah. And Hanyu seems to be really gung-ho about it this time.
Yeah.
It still could kind of work, but it just...
Well, this is the thing. Like, it's why... and we will definitely talk about this when we get into Umaneko spoilers at the recap, but, like, it's why, like, the rules of Higurashi's time travel are kind of loose, and if you try to, like, analyze them too closely, they don't... Like, they make sense in the broadest sense possible, and when you try to apply those same rules to like concepts that are introduced in the other When They Cry stories, it gets very messy.
Yeah. Because
the way that both of the stories kind of approach like time and storytelling and time travel, this like the meta narrative, so to speak, is very different because Ryukishi obviously realizes at the end of Higurashi that his like the context for his story is very like fast and loose, and I think that's okay. Like when we're sitting here when nitpicking, like, well, this doesn't quite make sense, and I'm like, why didn't Hanyu just figure everything out if she's an all-seeing god lady, god girl, whatever? Like, there's all these things that you can nitpick, but like clearly Ryukishi wasn't thinking about that when he first came up with the concept of the story, and he never really felt the need to iron that out because the amount of time it would take to be like very specifically ironing it out would take away from the overall like vibe of the story, I feel.
Maybe I feel like that's giving it a bit too much credit.
No.
I think it's just it's kind of a problem where like having any form of magic system and why so many murder mystery theorists hate it so much is because if you go too specific with your rules, you're inevitably going to end up with contradictions.
For sure.
And there's like nothing you can do about that.
But you do need to give enough rules if the magic is supposed to be part of the murder mystery for you to figure that out.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember. I think it was ReZero. ReZero is a story with a murder in it and a time loop mechanic. The mechanic in that story is that whenever the main character dies, he like goes back to a seemingly arbitrary reset point. Which I'm sure will be explained in season 2, which I haven't watched yet. But anyway, there is a murder mystery plot, and it's just that the main character goes to sleep and wakes up a day before he went to sleep. And he's like, wait a second, did I die in my sleep? That's weird. And so he goes through like trying to figure out, you know, is he time looping for no particular reason? Is he dying in his sleep? Why is he dying? Who's killing him? And there's like magical poison that's introduced, and he like goes to the local mage to be like, so how would you kill someone if you wanted to like kill them quickly and efficiently? And I won't spoil the solution to it, but that is a story that has various murder mysteries and kind of mystery plots within it, that with a time loop mechanic that actually does it pretty damn well, I think.
It's just him from outside the time loop killing him in the time loop so he can escape the time loop.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's like the twist that's going to happen down the line. But
Full disclaimer, I have no context or information about this show other than what has been said in the last minute.
That's okay. It's a pretty fun time. Go watch ReZero. The kind of way that the story deals with this is that the time loops are very quick. It's not this where it's like each arc is its own time loop. It's like a time loop is like 2 minutes of screen time. He'll like do some investigating. He'll die. It's more like Groundhog Day in the way that they present time loops in that story, where it's like kind of ambiguous as to how long he's been there and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think that this story it's been written over a period of like 10 years or whatever. And so Ryukashi is like, it's just a lot to kind of contain in this like magical time loop narrative, and we're starting to see the seams crack.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like, I still think that the story is fine with those issues, but they are there. So
I disagree, but I'm still enjoying myself.
All right. Well, that's fine.
The situation is extremely dire. Rika's parents are only interested in finding a cure, but to me, the cure is only a small part of solving the mystery. I can't let her go. There are differences causing this predicament. And it's not only them, I feel the same is happening between Irie and me.
Uh-oh.
He thinks it's inevitable that we need to stop the research if Rika's parents refuse to consent. That's understandable. From the beginning, Irie never had the determination to solve the mysteries of Hinamizawa syndrome. He won't back down from the research assertively, but he will passively by agreeing with Rika's parents. Is that the attitude of a researcher who's trying to unravel mysteries? He's the type of man who would step on my grandfather's research with his dirty feet.
Damn, he's got dirty feet now?
He's nothing but a coward who is in this half-heartedly. He started to feel guilty over his past the moment he saw blood. He isn't qualified to even be involved in researching Hinamizawa syndrome. He's simply an outsider who joined in because of the client's demands. If I were a man, he wouldn't be here in the first place. Well, it's true he produced wonderful results.
You okay?
I just had to laugh a bit, like, it's like, yeah, feminism, but also psychopathy.
Yeah. She's a strong, independent woman who doesn't need any man because she will murder him. So, look, I'm here for it. Takano, we stand Takano, okay?
What a fucking collection of sentences.
It's great. Nah.
While it's true he provided wonderful results with his development of a cure, he seems to think it's all right to close up shop with that. Is he planning to waste everything by being satisfied with just that tiny result? That man doesn't have any right to discard my grandfather's research. I can feel my guts boiling.
Your guts.
No. Irie isn't the main person at fault. The one to blame here is that woman, Rika's mother. If she wasn't so selfish, this wouldn't have happened. Maybe it's partly my fault. I maintained trust through relationships and obligation all this time, but somehow Rika's mother and I didn't get along, so I didn't try to socialize with her. I thought it was fine because I got along with Rika and her father, but now the mother has influenced the father and changed his decision. What negligence! What a reversal! What a blunder! Irie is saying we should talk to the office in Tokyo about what to do next, but I know once the Tokyo office finds out about this, they'll order us to shut the research down. I've worked so hard to even get things started. If they hear anything negative, they'll put a stop to it. I've come too far to complete my grandfather's research. I can't let it be stopped.
Man, she seems just a little bit paranoid.
I still have a little time to think about this. I need to calm down and analyze this carefully. I've always come up with a great plan when I drink my favorite tea and bite my nails like this. Claw at my throat. I looked up at the ceiling and closed my eyes, as tenderly as possible. There were times when I couldn't find a solution, but someone else came up with a simple one. I've been able to overcome everything that's been thrown at me. I even endured the hell at that orphanage, so I'll never let that woman get in the way.
Damn.
Settle your thoughts down. Think about this clearly. Be calm, Mio Takano. Someone else may come up with a better idea. But who? It's not me, it can't be Irie. Of course, nobody from the village will do.
Mm-hmm.
Do I talk to someone in Tokyo? No, I can't. I don't want to owe anyone a favor. Even Koizumi-sensei would be disgusted if he finds out I can't solve such a simple matter by myself.
If only we had some kind of hit squad.
If only.
If only.
Ah, I know. There's someone I can talk to nearby. They're supposed to be my subordinates after all, so it's worth a try. I called the leader of the mountain dogs Okanogi. The mountain dogs are my subordinates, but they're part of the self-defense force and I'm just a researcher, so we never really had a chance to interact. He did what he was supposed to, and I did what I was, so I never even thought of discussing anything with him. But the mountain dogs are there to protect and support our research. Why didn't I think of talking to him before?
Because he's just the best.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, he's so beautiful.
Is this the first time his sprite's been on?
I think so, yeah. What
Jesus.
a good boy. That's Okanogi as he appears in Cicada season.
No, that's not it. We've seen
Have we
this
seen this
sprite.
before?
Have we? I swear we have. Because
We might have.
His shoulders, like he's. I remember commenting on his shoulders. I feel.
We might have seen him before. It doesn't matter. He's so beautiful. It's like we're seeing him for the first time. That said, you should definitely flick that back.
What was
'cause I
this
like his
outfit
old
he was
sprite.
wearing last? Because it wasn't this outfit.
I don't know.
I can relatively confidently say that.
Go through the notes. Go through the record. The archives.
It really doesn't help that Okanogi also has a sprite in other Higurashi works.
Oh, yeah. Look, that red and black look is good on him. Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'd say spoilers about this, but he's kind of the cover art character of Caconia, so what am I going to do?
He is.
What am I going to do?
He's in many, many things. He is the superior when they cry being who sees and knows all. All right. Let me just...
We kill Okanogi, the time loop ends. That's what I want.
I mean, if we kill Okanogi when they cry ends, so please don't.
Do it.
Okay, he is
I
the
dare
linchpin of the entire series. What a difficult situation.
He used to speak standard Japanese, but now he has the Hinamizawa accent. I guess fitting into the region is the first thing they need to do. We may lose the Queen Carrier, not only that, but her mother might end up exposing our secrets. Can you do something about it? I asked Okanogi rather directly. Not really expecting an answer, but...
Understood. The mountain dogs will take care of it. Just give us a little time and we'll do a clean job.
Take care of it.
We'll make sure the police won't get involved. We need a little time to prep, but it won't be difficult.
I'm startled. Rika's mother is my enemy, but I was thinking about how I could convince her. But the leader of the Mountain Dogs, the counterintelligence unit whose duty it is to protect this secret research, came up with a much simpler plan. Do you mean to kill her?
To preserve the secret, I was told to do whatever is necessary, of course. We won't do anything until we get an order.
Right, this is a very simple problem to him. Rika's mother has started to interfere with our research. Not only that, there's a chance she might talk to people about the Institute, so they'll eliminate her. That sounds like a good idea. Can you do a good job of it?
That's why we're here. This will be our biggest job since the kidnapping of the minister's grandson.
I remember now. The Mountain Dogs are the ones who kidnapped the grandson of the Minister of Construction and used that to blackmail him. It has been a few years, so I completely forgot about that. They did such a marvelous job then. That's right. I have the Mountain Dogs on my side.
That's right now.
Can you get on with it right away?
We could easily kill her, even tonight, but that'd create too much of a fuss. We'll make it look like she disappeared, so give us a little time to make some arrangements.
Just like a cat's eyes under a bright light, I can feel something in the back of my eyes open up. Up until now, I'd been racking my brain to try and figure out how to make her my ally, or at least make her surrender or pacify her, yet one order to this man and the problem's easily solved.
Nice.
I feel like a bird taking its first flight. How easily I can get rid of that annoying mother. All I have to do is give an order. I feel grateful to Koizumi-sensei for giving me such terrific subordinates. What a wonderful power he has given me. I was taught that all people are equal. But if I have the power to control people's lives, that means I'm more important than they are.
Damn.
What a feeling it is to be above others.
So, did you just want Rika Furu's mother to disappear?
Well, wait a minute. Does he mean only Rika Furu's mother? I can feel chills all over my body. If possible, maybe I should have her father disappear too. Rika is willing to help. She has no other relatives in the Furude family. If both parents die, she has to depend on someone.
Damn.
The Irie Institute can support her. We can give her status, money, and protection. We can give her everything. By doing so, maybe it's possible to make her one of us rather than having her as a helper. All my worries are melting away. Everything I was just concerned about seems like a joke now. I had such powerful subordinates all this time, yet I never realized.
Just have to get control of Little Orphan Annie and all our problems will be solved.
All of my tension is being released and I'm starting to feel relaxed. I can feel myself regaining my cool head. I'm going to get rid of them, Rika's parents, that is. The Queen Carrier is my guinea pig. The guinea pig doesn't need parents. That's right, it's almost time for the Watanagashi festival. If they die on that day, people will call it the Curse of Oyashirasama. The murder case from 2 years ago and the accident from last year are two separate incidents, yet because they happened on the day of Watanagashi, they're being called the Curse of Oyashirasama.
Nice.
Then if her parents' deaths occur on this year's Watanagashi, it'll be Oyashirasama's curse 3 years in a row. The miracle of Oyashirasama. Also the curse. I'm going to create them. This is a chance for me to ascend to godhood and toy with human fate. The incidents that occurred 2 years in a row are said to be a curse, but not everyone believes that. However, if it happens 3 years in a row, then everyone has to believe. Because that'll be a true curse that's created by me. I'll become Oyashirasama. My desire for revenge against God is coming together. Making her disappear isn't that fun, is it? When I started to laugh, Okunogi grinned to show his interest. We're going to create the Curse of Oyashirasama. I can't just let her die. She'll be demoned away and I'm going to enjoy dissecting her alive.
Damn.
Of course I won't just have fun. This will be extremely useful for our research. After all, she's the previous queen carrier.
There you go. And so they were behind it all.
Remember when they said, goodness, the murderer must be someone with a fascination in the history of this village. Because who else would be doing something so religiously guided with such consistency? You know, who could it possibly be? Uishi thought,
Irie.
as he looked at Takano on the other end of the library, reading up on the history of the village, staring daggers at people when they even questioned what she was doing.
Yep, and just handing out research papers to little girls to make them go on murder rampages.
I'm just saying, this village getting gassed is merely survival of the fittest if they couldn't figure this out in time.
Yeah. Look, they're all old people, obsessed with, like, old grudges and making sure Rika's okay, which they fail at miserably, by the by.
Consistently.
Just to be super clear on that. All right. Let's do this. What was that? That was page 1. It's 26. 27 is page 2. Screen 2.
Page 2?
Yeah. Screen 2. Well, there's only 2 here. I feel like it should be
has to
pretty
be this
obvious.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even see the title. I was reading the description.
The mysterious death of the Furude couple.
What could it
Let's
possibly mean?
Yeah. Deep down, I was prepared for something to happen tonight once again. The first year, the workers were stirred into a frenzy, killing and dismembering the old man. And the second year, the Hojo couple were killed through a fake accident. Since the damn protests, only people who have been hated by the villagers died on the day of Watanagashi. Some people in the village were calling the incidents the Curse of Oyashirasama. Now that the damn protests are over, there would be no meaning in the village's enemies being killed on the night of the festival, or so I thought. If that was true, then there were still some enemies left over. I thought that perhaps that would happen again on the night of the festival 3 years in a row. My hunch, it was right. At first, however, it looked so natural that I didn't think anything of it. We get the, like, squad car. No. The festival was nearing its end, and the village officials were gathered onto the main tent. They opened their beers and enjoyed the leftover corn and waste cartwright from the refreshment stands. I was in the main tent too, being entertained by the villagers, so I was actually there at the scene of the 30th incident when it happened. Yet, I didn't notice anything at the beginning. Furude-san, what is the matter? Are you feeling sick? Most of the older folks in the village were heavy drinkers, but a few were lightweights too. The priest was one of the latter. The priest was a representative as well as a host during the Watanagashi festival, so every time visitors and guests arrived, he greeted them, and each time he was offered a drink, so by the night's end he was pretty worn out. That's why I didn't think anything of it to see the priest sitting by himself in a big folding chair. The mayor Kimiyoshi was the one to tap his shoulder and ask if he was alright. He did a very good impression of me. Are you okay? You drank too much, didn't you? Does your chest hurt? Sorry, I think I am a little tired. Didn't you have heart trouble before? Getting sudden pains isn't a good sign. Dr. Irie! Dr. Irie! Oh, good, more characters that I voice. What is wrong? Is it your chest? That's not good. When I saw what was going on, I noticed he was covered in a terrible sweat and was definitely not relaxing in his chair and enjoying the cool evening breeze as I was. His face had a sickly pallor and I thought he should lie down immediately. I should probably take you to the clinic. Are you okay? Can you hold onto my shoulder? Somebody help! The priest doesn't feel well.
What's wrong with my husband? Dear, are you alright?
Takano-san, perfect timing. The priest doesn't feel well, so I'm going to take him to the clinic.
Emphasis on perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing! Could you please have the car come around here? It's already here.
Sure, no problem.
Don't laugh at the scene of the crime with cops around. Get out of life. So the priest and his wife headed to the clinic with Dr. Irie. I don't know about young people, but the elderly know their own bodies well. They almost never push themselves to the point when they start feeling ill, especially someone like this priest here. It was hard to imagine him drinking himself sick. The cumulative experience of my years was telling me something, and my little brain, my little gray cells were tingling. I headed to the Irie clinic just in case. I tried to follow the car, but because the festival was almost over and all the stands were closing up, there was a lot of traffic going in and out, making it almost impossible for me to leave the temporary parking lot. More than 20 minutes had passed since the priest was carried in by the time I arrived at the clinic. 20 minutes. If it hadn't taken me 20 minutes, my involvement in this year's incident would have been quite different. I regretted not leaving on foot the moment I realized how hard it was to get my car out. All I get to do now is jot down the facts, because between the time the priest left the festival and the time I arrived at the clinic, during those 20 minutes, this year's curse had taken place. The priest's condition changed for the worse right after he arrived at the clinic. He died. The autopsy results say it was heart failure, but how can I accept that? I don't think the priest was having health problems, and everyone was taken by surprise by this sudden event. Moreover, the wife of the priest disappeared too. According to clinic staff, she was with him right after he died, but she's nowhere to be seen now. Of course, she's not at home either. Maybe someone poisoned the priest. During the dam conflict, the priest was frowned upon for his remarks. He said there was no need to make big fuss because the dam project would be cancelled anyway. The older villagers liked to hold grudges and hadn't forgotten that, so even I had heard word of them talking about how the priest wasn't fit for the shrine to Oyashirasama. I called for backup and had them go search for the missing wife. With last year's falling couple incident as precedent, it was easy to believe both wife and husband could become victims. The village's youth group got organized and searched from the village to the mountains, and as a result, we found a set of sandals and a will by the edge of the Onigafuchi swamp. The will said something about how her husband's death was the curse of Oyashirasama, and she was throwing herself in the swamp to calm the god's anger, and leaving her small child behind because that totally makes sense. In other words, she committed suicide by jumping into the swamp. Legends say that the swamp is bottomless and is connected directly to hell. Once you sink, you'll never come back. Divers from the police department searched the swamp and came back, but her body was nowhere to be found. The first two mysterious incidents were solved individually, just as the higher-ups say, you see, but something is odd about this year's mysterious death. The ill priest was carried to the clinic. His wife accompanied him. Within 20 minutes, the priest died of heart failure, and the wife either committed suicide or disappeared.
And the common thread was the clinic, and no one noticed.
We did not investigate
Just
them.
the further we get into this, the more fucking stupid everyone in this village seems.
Yeah, all
I
the
love
adults are just idiots. No wonder the kids have to be the ones to figure this shit out. Everyone's a dummy.
Fucking hell.
It's something in the air.
I do like, though, the kind of subtext that the only reason Oishi was allowed to live as long as he is because he was perpetuating Takano's fun experiment of creating a myth.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. Like, he becomes a scapegoat for them. Effectively, everyone thinks of Oishi as like the angel of death, and like the families don't like him because he always is stirring trouble, and he's actually drawing so much attention away from what's actually going on.
Yeah, like in theory, he's really the biggest hindrance to what they're trying to do,
but he's actually the biggest benefit.
Exactly, it's so good.
It's actually very clever. But for his wife to assume that it was the curse and to commit suicide by jumping into the swamp, for all of that to happen in 20 minutes, it doesn't seem natural. It was in fact not only natural, it was unnatural. If Ude family has no relatives, even if she was a true believer in Oyashirasama, how could she commit suicide while leaving behind her one and only daughter? Yuya is hiding something too, but he's just a village doctor, which means he's nothing more than their pawn. If this is all a big conspiracy to assassinate the priest, then there's someone who's pulling the strings. I had been starting to think that trying to tie the past two incidents to the village so forcefully was a bit overbearing of me, but this incident was enough to convince me that this series of cases involving the mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa were all grounded in one intention. This incident has countless numbers of discrepancies, but someone from the village seems to be putting pressure on high command. And just like the past incidents, this one will be treated as an individual case and will end up being forgotten. Since it happened 3 years in a row, everyone in the village will say it's the Curse of Oyashirasama. I think that's the culprit's goal. After the war, belief in Oyashirasama became antiquated. So, is someone committing these murders as a ritual to restore that god's dignity? The one pulling the strings must be the Sonozaki family.
This is like when you go for a high five and you just kind of like clip their pinky finger.
And you hit their face. It's like, let's mush it in there. There we go. Because, yeah, all of his reasoning is fine, but I don't know what's going on here. A few months passed. Oh, shit. Oyo Sonozaki said something like, it was natural for that priest to be cursed by Oyashirasama, and so the priest case was lumped together with the mysterious Hinamizawa deaths, otherwise known as Oyashirasama's curse, which we are well familiar with because we have read 8 arcs by now. At first, I simply wanted to avenge my old man, but now that case has grown into an abnormal one centered on the village's faith. Damn it! The old man's killer is human. I won't let it be pushed off into some nonsense curse. And scene.
Poor Oishi.
Poor Oishi.
Little did he know that his own imagination was his worst enemy.
Well, this thing, he's just an old man barking up the wrong tree. He could not be taught new tricks. None of this newfangled science nonsense. He's a man out of his time. Just being a nerd. All right. It's 28 now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
28 is page 5.
Page 5.
I haven't been there in a while.
What do we have? This?
Oh shit. It's time. It's time for the club. Holy shit, really? Is that right? That was 37. I guess there wouldn't be any others that we could do. Yeah. All right, this is the next one. Yeah. Formation of the club. Let's go. I'm so ready. I guess this must be at the point in time where Rena is like not at the school, question mark?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like off being crazy somewhere else. All right, let's do this. School is the children's world. Put that on a bumper. The values of grown-ups don't apply. Children decide their own values and create their own world. So the rules of the grown-up world of the village don't mean anything here. Even when the villagers badmouth the Hojo family and try to isolate them, that has no meaning at our school. In the children's world, children decide the rules. Rules they think are irrational don't exist here. That's why, as the representative for the children here...
I vow that I will never let any irrational rules come into our world. I think it's actually... Or is it...
It's gotta be Mion. It's gotta be, surely.
Well, but it's the representative for the children, not the class, so it's probably...
It's gonna be Chie?
Yeah.
I guess I'll just keep reading. I'm pretty sure it's Mion. I feel like throwing Chie in here would be like a weird thing to do.
Well, you know what? We'll get points if it's Chie. Ryukishi gets points if it's Mion.
Okay. Do you want me to just keep reading then and we'll find out?
Keep reading.
Okay. Within the school, no harassment is allowed. Within the school, no harassment is allowed towards the Hojo siblings, because that would be a dick move. In the very beginning, some boys teased Sadako, but they were punished severely, and it hasn't happened ever since. That's the least I can do to resist the madness of the village, so I hope Satoshi and Sadako both feel that the school is a safe place for them. Satoshi must notice my concern, because he often smiles while he's here. However, I never see Sadako smile. Sadako's classmates used to try to cheer her up, but soon after they decided that it was best to just leave her alone. I used to try to talk to her, but when I realized something, I stopped doing that. I'm a member of the Sonozaki family! I told you!
Points.
I told you! Why did you put the points on that? Why did you put the points on that? I told you it was Mion!
I mean, listen, it made sense in the context of what we had selected, but at the same time, the way that it was worded was not very Mion. And I will die on that hill.
Whatever, dude. You're the one responsible. We both went, it's Mion. That's literally what happened. Check the tapes.
Because.
God damn it.
We thought it was Mion because it was seen about the club. But then the page went on and it said I'm a representative for the children.
Yeah, because it's Mion being like, I'm the representative
talking about
of the
creating
kids' world.
the rules of a school.
No, it's about like the culture. That's like what she's like trying to control this environment so it's like away from everything else. Because she's like taking responsibility for the other kids. She's the eldest there.
Rubbish.
What are you talking about?
I'm a member of the Sonozaki family.
You fucking nerd.
To Sadako, I'm one of her enemies, so I'm sure she feels uncomfortable to have me around her. All I can do is watch over her. That's why Sadako is alone in the classroom. That said, Rika-chan is always hanging around with her, even though Sadako told her she was annoying. Satoshi, too, is always beside her. These two are the only ones who remain by her side.
Still mad, you entire nerd. Obviously Mion.
I mean, listen, 5 points from it being Mion.
Terrible.
Is nothing compared to what we did a couple of episodes ago.
That was bullshit too, but you know what?
Ryukishi's probably back in the lead on account of that.
Probably. We'll have to find out.
It isn't limited to Sadako, of course. The malicious isolation is still continuing towards the Hojo family. Because their hysterical aunt is so hostile towards her neighbors, there's nobody who sympathizes with her. It's wise to know there are fights worth picking and also fights better set aside. If the aunt had even a little tolerance or self-control, this isolation wouldn't have continued. Of course, the villagers were the ones who forced them into that role, even though they weren't related to the issue. But if she had stayed quiet, then it wouldn't have gone so far. The aunt's hostility is one thing, but she is dragging everyone in the family into it as well. The uncle and the aunt haven't been getting along, and he hardly comes home. Both Satoshi and Sadako are forced to live in shame. The aunt vents her stress by harassing Sadako. This was the same too. The aunt is her guardian after all, but Sadako doesn't even try to hide her disgust, so things aren't going smoothly between them. If she'd behaved like Satoshi, then she wouldn't have been made into a target. Does this mean that the sad life Sadako is living right now is something she caused herself? No, it doesn't. But no matter how much I sympathize and how much I want to help her, nobody knows what to do. An apology won't change the situation. The flow can't be reversed. The fact that the Hojo family is ostracized by the entire village can't be changed. That's the horribleness lurking underneath our lives. The neighbors, the village, and the community. Once they become your enemies, the world can become so cruel. Japanese people have known that since ancient times, which is why we cultivated empathy and an obligation to show courtesy to one's neighbors. No matter who I blame, Sadako won't smile. So the only thing I can do is watch over her and make sure that she's safe when she's at school.
Alright then, let's go to mortar. Oye. Thank you, Mion.
Sorry, what?
I just want to thank you for being so concerned about Sadako.
Satoshi kind of appears absent-minded, but sometimes he says things as if he can read your thoughts. I tried to deny it since it's out of character for me, but he smiled as if he could tell exactly what I was thinking.
What a nerd.
I've never heard Ryukishi repeat himself.
Yeah. Sadako's just forgotten how to smile. When she's at school, she could let go of a little tension for a while. I'm sure she treasures that time.
That's basically the only thing this old man can do for her.
That's not true. I really appreciate it.
Stop that. You don't need to say that. Besides, my family is the one who's causing all this grief.
I don't think that way. I really don't.
Not good at reading people's subtle cues, but I know for sure what he just said is a lie. Satoshi knows that he and his family are being isolated because of the Sonozakis, and he's, of course, aware that I'm a member of that family too. Satoshi is mature, and that's the only reason he doesn't take it out on me. If he had the same temper as his aunt, he'd hate me bitterly.
Damn.
Knowing that, the least I can do is not get close to them. But I'm a meddlesome person, and when I see Sadako looking depressed or Satoshi forcing himself to smile, I have to do something. That might be even more troublesome to Satoshi and Sadako, though. Maybe I just don't understand Sadako's feelings.
Why?
My family is causing Sadako grief, so for me, a member of that family, to hang around her, is that the right thing to do?
Sure, that's you being you.
What do you mean by that? You saying I'm insensitive?
No, I don't mean that. If this atmosphere itself is robbing Sadako of her smile, then only someone who can completely ignore it can bring her smile back.
This old man can't tell if you're trying to compliment him or not. You're mean.
I'm not ridiculing you, really. I just want you to help. I can't make Sadako smile again by myself. I need someone like you to help me.
But I'm Mion Sonozaki, you know. If I do something insensitive, I might end up hurting Sadako even more.
Sadako is already lonely. Are you going to leave her alone too?
This is the first time Satoshi has asked me for something so aggressively. Sadako is a very important person to him. He's saying he needs my help to make her smile again. But still, no. Maybe he's right. What's going on between the Sonozaki family and the Hojo family is an issue among the grown-ups. We children don't need to care about that.
Yeah.
The irrational rules of the grown-ups don't mean anything in our world, so I have to object to the irrationality of the grown-up world using my own methods. You sure Sadako won't feel bothered by me?
She may at first, but I'll be with you. I'll be with you, Mion, so she'll open up right away.
You think so? Should we do something right after school today?
If we go home first, our aunt might say something and we might not be able to leave.
Okay, then it's simple. Don't go home first.
But if we get home too late, she'll ask us what we were doing and...
Let's see. I know. Why don't you join a club?
Oh, it's a cute song. A club? What kind of club?
Yeah, tell her you're going to an after-school club, tell her you're doing something after school before going home. There are plenty of people who go out after school before they go home, so that'll be no problem.
But if we mess up our clothes, our aunt will say...
Okay, then we'll do something indoors. Then your clothes will stay clean.
What kind of club what you have indoors? Hey, Mion?
Indoors? Do you mean in the classroom?
You mean in the classroom?
No, I mean outside in the classroom, you dipshit.
What kind of classroom would that be if it were outdoors? Wouldn't Chie-sensei say something?
It's possible to play passionately while not going wild indoors. Contrary to my appearance, I love playing games. I've collected some treasures from overseas too. Some of the manuals are written in English and are a little complicated, while some of them I just need someone to play with, so a lot of them are just sitting in the storage room.
She's a real gamer girl. That's what we're learning here. Do you think Sadako can play those too?
Sure. If you don't know the rules, then you just make them up. As long as everyone is following the same rules, it's totally okay.
That's how it works. That's how it works.
I said it so confidently, but would bringing the games from home and asking Sadako to play with us actually make her smile again? What have I got to lose? Maybe I'll bring one of the board games tomorrow.
Oh, also, Mion, I have something else I want to ask you.
What? This old man is all ears.
I am looking for a part-time job. I thought if I could get her a nice birthday present, that might make her feel better.
Oh, I know that one. That's the one from the story where
This is a big ass bear. Yeah, there's a giant bear that he wanted to get for her, and then he disappeared.
I'm so proud of Ryukishi for being consistent.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty big plot point for Satoshi's character. So.
That hung for a really long time on that end screen.
That was a little bit weird. Rena, I can't wait for her to show up. All right. What, are you going to say that you're not looking forward to her showing up? Are you about to say that you hate her with every fiber of your being?
Absolutely.
And you prefer the story without her in it?
Yes.
And she's a superfluous character?
Completely.
Wow. I don't think I can do this anymore with you. I think I need to quit now.
All right.
Screen 1.
Gotta be this one.
Yeah, let's go. Red capsule. Oh my god, okay. Is this Sadako? No, a capsule.
Is it her mother?
Maybe. I'm just gonna read a neutral voice. I'm not sure. The strange medicine that I can hardly remember was a capsule. Or maybe it was an oval tablet. It was so red. It must... Oh. This might be Rena. What was this called? Did you see? It's called capsule, right?
No, to be honest, I keep reading the descriptions and not the titles.
This might be Rena. I'll keep reading it neutral, but I think this is Rena. It must have been a capsule. I can't imagine a tablet in that color. It must have been a capsule. I think it was a little bigger than a normal one. I think. I can't remember. Though I can hardly remember. If I see that medicine again, it'll refresh my memory. That medicine strips away humanity. It takes away a human soul, memory, emotion, and it numbs the human body. There are no thoughts, no interest, no will to stay awake or asleep. There's no sense of time. Sometimes a second can feel like an eternity, and other times I can almost see an hour hand move. Either way, there's no emotion involved. I can't feel any emotion. The medicine only lets me stay in bed and look up at the ceiling. Only the people who have taken it can understand this misery. What's more scary is that while I'm on the medication, I don't realize how scary it is. I'm given the medication daily and I keep losing all my senses. So when the medication wore off by accident, I realized I should never take it again. That's right. This isn't medicine that will heal me. It's just going to kill me slowly. If I continued to take this medicine, I probably wouldn't be able to tell if I was alive or dead, and I would end up losing myself forever. I'll keep looking up at the ceiling without any emotions and keep watching the clock tick forever. If I take the medicine again, I'll lose all the senses I finally regained. I may never be able to bring myself back again. Since the day I realized that, I've been pretending to take the medicine, but thrown it away instead. If your doctor prescribes medication, you have to finish taking it, even if your symptoms are gone. I can hear my mother's voice. Anytime I went to the doctor's office when I was a child, my mother, she said that to me. I usually got well before I finished all the medicine, so I didn't finish taking the rest. That's why my mother said that. But this is a different type of medicine. I don't even remember how old I was when my mother said that, but with this strange capsule in front of me, I had to try and get rid of my mother's voice from inside of my head. I pressed down on my head with my elbows until it hurt, trying to get rid of what my mother kept telling me. Right. As my head clears, I start to remember the ugly side of my mother. My mother betrayed her family. She betrayed me and my father, who waited for her at home with dinner on the table. She told her she was busy with work, but she was having an affair. That was bad enough, but she asked my father for a divorce after he took such good care of her for so many years. But there's something else I can't forgive her for. She invited only me to meet with her new family. Not my father, just me. My father and I, we're family. Family means being together. Yet my mother tried to destroy the bond between my father and me. Not only has she destroyed her bond with him, but she tried to destroy my bond with him too. When I remember, it makes me feel angry and hateful, and I can't forgive her. The back of my eyes started to hurt, and I could feel the hatred on my face. That overflowing animosity is aimed not only at my mother, but also the man that she had an affair with. The man she had an affair with. Uncle Akihito. I didn't like him teasing me, but he gave me an allowance and tried to have fun with me. I liked him very much, but his niceness was all calculated. He wanted to destroy the family bonds between my mother, my father, and me. That's why I shouldn't have said I liked him very much. That's right. I'm starting to remember and to understand. I now know my true enemy. It was his fault that my mother started to have an affair, because my mother was a very good mother. He was the one who made her a bad one. So he's the one who deserves the blame. When was the first time I met him? I think it was the time when my mother and I, we went out and we had lunch at a restaurant. She introduced him as one of her colleagues from work. At that time, if I think about that first meeting real close, I think I felt something wasn't right with the way my mother acted around him. That's right, I did. I did think something was wrong. I didn't feel right. I wish I trusted my instincts then. I was a fool to think he was a nice person just because he gave me a strawberry from his piece of cake. It was not my father's fault, because I bet he never met Uncle Akihito. But I have. I've met him many times, and there were a lot of chances to realize that he was my enemy. If I had a strong enough will to protect my happiness, I could have noticed that. I can't forget how my father looked on that day. My father, who was so nice and gentle, grabbed his knees so tightly and cried so hard. He asked me if I knew Uncle Akihito. I answered yes. Then he slapped me in the face. When he slapped me, I finally realized how stupid I was for being taken in by him. That's right. It was my fault. I destroyed that happiness I had hoped to last forever with my own hands. If I hadn't been that stupid, my father wouldn't have had to cry like that. My mother would have stayed good. If I wasn't that stupid, it was all my fault. I can't forgive my mother and Uncle Akihito. Even when I hate him this much, I still call him uncle, and I can't forgive myself for that. It was my fault. Everything was my fault. I was too stupid and foolish, and that's why this happened. I hate her. I'm sad. I'm frustrated. I can't stop being angry. If my mother ever came back to this house, I would rip her apart with my hands. But she never came back. My anger turned towards everything that my mother left in the house. I destroyed every relic my mother left behind, one after another. I threw and I smashed everything. That still didn't calm me down. Even after I turned the whole house upside down, I still couldn't calm my anger. Where does my anger gather? It starts from inside of me. It goes through my arms, my fingertips, and spurts from my nails. Where else can it go? So my nails aim at my own body. My body is the filthiest and most disgusting thing of all. I am the one to be blamed. No, I'm not to blame. My mother's most at fault. My mother's the most corrupt. My body and soul feel filthy. I wanted to stain myself black and slice the remaining flesh into pieces. And one day, I finally realized there are tons of maggots in my blood. I am rotten. I am rotten from the inside. Come on, rot more. But it is indescribably itchy. It is itchy. Itchy. I stabbed my thigh with a razor blade in the bathroom. The blood flowed out. Reddish-black maggots spilled out. I forced myself to open my blood vessels with my thumbs. The maggots spilled out. Squirm. So many maggots spilled out from my left thigh. My right thigh must have the same amount of maggots in its blood vessels. Maybe my calves, too. My arms, abdomen, my chest. No. How many maggots are there in my blood vessels in my neck? Strangely, although I become rather insane, there is still a part of me that is calm. If I keep ripping myself apart like this, I'll end up dead. But everything is my fault, and I'm the one to be blamed. Even if I blame my mother, the only way I can disgrace her with my own body. I get it now. That's the best means for quelling my anger. I feel like I'm thinking incredibly rationally now. In order to forgive myself, I need someone else to blame. It has to be someone else's fault, but no such person exists. No matter how much I think about it or how I twist that logic, my own body is my only outlet to vent this anger. So long as there's no one else to blame, I'll be forced to rip open every blood vessel in my body. Just like no matter how much I scratch, it still itches. No matter how much I rip apart my own body, it ain't enough. The blood is all over the bathroom, and I'm sure it makes for quite the gruesome scene. Although I'm trying to stay calm, I can't ignore the sharp pain that runs through my body. Maybe because I've lost so much blood, or maybe because I'm naked in the bathroom. I feel freezing cold. My whole body is throbbing and my heart is beating so fast. I'm cold and hot at the same time, and I'm also sad, angry, and in pain. I want to find something that lets me forgive myself. But what is it? And then it came. It came in a heavenly light. It was mysterious and unreal, like something out of this world. It apologized. It kept apologizing. Why is it apologizing? You apologize when you're at fault. So this thing I just met for the first time was admitting to wronging me. That means I'm not at fault. It's at fault, not me. I dropped the razor blade. It fell into the puddle of blood. The pain has taken over my body. The pain of ripping apart my own body has taken over me. I've been telling myself this pain is the punishment for what I've done, but I'm not at fault. It is, so I don't need to accept this pain as punishment. So I don't need to defile my body anymore. She continued apologizing to me over and over as I stood there covered in fresh blood. She apologized every time I wanted to blame myself, constantly whispering that it wasn't my fault. Oyashirasama exists. She is always following me. Slap, 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 slap. And every time I can't endure the guilt, she apologizes and tells me that I am not at fault. Everything is caused by the curse of Oyashirasama. Things started to go wrong when I broke the rule that I wasn't supposed to leave Hinamizawa. I finally remember. When I moved from Hinamizawa, one of my neighbors gave me a charm. She said that if I left the town, I'd be cursed, so I had to take the charm. That's right, she gave me a charm. It had some complicated writing on it, but I haven't seen it since I moved here. I may have lost it. There's nothing I can do about that. If Hinamizawa residents leave Hinamizawa, they'll be cursed. My mother and I, even Uncle Akihito too, may have gone insane because of the curse of Oyashirasama. No, he was at fault from the beginning because everything is caused by the curse of Oyashirasama. No one is at fault. Nobody. I'm finally able to forgive everything. The anger that I couldn't get rid of even after I destroyed everything, including my body and my soul, is finally gone. Father, now I know. The curse of Oyashirasama is what caused my mother to leave and for you to be so sad. You remember Oyashirasama, don't you? The guardian deity of Hinamizawa. That's right. People of Hinamizawa aren't supposed to go to the outside world. That's why Mother went insane. It's all because of the curse of Oyashirasama. If we had stayed in Hinamizawa, we would have been happy. Oyashirasama came to me and told me that. Come to think of it, Oyashirasama has been trying to tell me that for a long ass time. After Mother left, I didn't know why she left or how to express my anger. Oyashirasama has kept following me ever since then to let me know that. She followed me everywhere, the sound of her footsteps echoing behind me, but I pretended not to notice her. I was so stupid. I didn't hear her voice until I slashed my body all over. If only I had listened to Oyashirasama's voice. I bet she started warning me once Uncle Akihito came into my life. If the whole family had gone back to Hinamizawa, my mother wouldn't have had an affair. We would have been happy there. I bet Oyashirasama has been trying to tell me that. That's right. She must have been trying to warn me ever since we left Hinamizawa. She was always with me. She followed me everywhere. I was stupid trying to pretend I didn't notice. Everything was because of that stupidity. If I had noticed Oyashirasama's voice, my family wouldn't have suffered from the curse. It's all my fault. Oyashirasama is apologizing. She keeps apologizing. It means that it's all her fault. This isn't my fault, is it? Because this is the curse of Oyashirasama, right? She's apologizing, saying, I'm sorry. Oyashirasama is apologizing repeatedly, so I'm sorry too. I'm sorry that I didn't hear your voice. I'm sorry. We are from Hinamizawa, so we have to keep hearing your voice. Oyashirasama definitely exists. Can't you hear, Father? Don't you see? Oyashirasama's right there apologizing, saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry too. Come on, Father. Let's apologize too. Mother, you don't have to apologize. You should die because of the curse. I hate you, Mother. I hate you. I hate myself for being your daughter. These maggots are your fault. They make me itch everywhere. I'm sorry. No, I don't want that medicine. My mother got it to kill me, so I don't want it. I won't take it. I told you I won't take it. Stop. This is a curse, so you can't fix it with medicine. I won't get rid of the maggots because this is a curse. No, I don't want to shut either. Stop. It hurts. Everything is falling into a gray world. The voices of my father and the doctor sound so far away. Even what just happened seems like it happened a long time ago. Again, I'm given the capsule, and even my memory from a minute ago is gone. Oh, damn. Does that fade out? No.
What just happened?
Shit. I'm back in my bed. I'm staring at the ceiling. And what I can see, the only thing that interests me is the hands on the clock. Tick, tock, tick, tock. I follow the minute hand as it goes around quickly and the hour hand as it goes around slowly. I see other things too, but they keep going through the same motions, just like the hands on the clock. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I'm sorry. Oyashirasama keeps apologizing. Tick, tock, tick, tock. I'm sorry. Tick, tock, I'm sorry. Repeating over and over constantly and nothing else. The chorus of Higurashi coming in through the window during the night seems louder than usual. There you go. Fun, crazy times with Rena. It's good to see her again, even if she's, at the actual lowest point in her entire life. Getting fucked up by drugs and curses and her own body. That's terrifying. But yeah. I don't know, did you learn anything from that?
Not really.
Yeah.
I think it was just kind of a dramatic reenactment of what we'd been told before.
Yeah, I think that showing us that scene sort of, again, from an objective sort of storytelling viewpoint, because these fragments are more or less objective retellings of events. There's no real mystery there. I think that it's just supposed to show that what Rena was feeling and telling us as an unreliable narrator in Arc 6 is real. Yeah. These are real events. She's not distorting past events to the extent that you might be able to reason out. We're getting just showing a real snapshot of her mind as she's going through this drug haze. I do think it's very interesting that she's in contact with both the doctor and her father, and she's in her own house and cutting back and forth between now I'm being forced to take these drugs at the doctor and now I'm at home and time and place are really not a straight line for her at this point in her life.
Yeah, I'm kind of picturing one of those shots. I think the term is snorri cam, though I don't know where it comes from.
I know what that is.
Where it's it's a camera that's fixed to the actor.
Yeah.
And kind of looking at them directly.
Yeah, totally. It's hazy in the background. Yeah.
Well, the whole thing is that basically the entire world revolves around what the actor is doing. It's motion tracking, but just stuck to the actor.
Yeah. I do think I'm liking the through line of the last couple of fragments. I'm gonna try and elucidate this.
Yeah.
The idea of because obviously in the story we're dealing with the concept of time loops, and so in a sense all of these events have occurred and yet have not occurred, which is fun. And Rena's mind state is sort of similar to that in that she can't keep track of time and she is just focusing in on Oyashirasama, like all of the weird obsessive I believe it was arc 3 where she freaks out and Mion has to like slap her because she saw about Sadako and like being affected by the curse. Like her obsession with Oyashirasama is her way of like centering these events, much in the same way that the Curse of Oyashirasama is the central plot point of the actual story. And yeah, I know I just find that really, really interesting. And yeah,
because
I
it's
like that.
You know, this scene, and the reason I talk about the story cap is it's like, it's cut off from the rest of the story very explicitly, kind of the same way that Rena is cut off from the world around her.
Yes.
So, you know, you describe it as though it's cutting back and forth between what's happening, where really that is like one continuous shot, but everything else that is going on in the outside of this shot is just indiscernible because it's all just
she's
Rena.
focusing. She's like focusing in on herself and her internal struggle. And I do also think that because we're like reading these in order, that also like parallels well with Mion's kind of speech about the children's world and how like she's trying to create a space that is safe from outside influences, from grown-up influences, because obviously when you are a kid and you're growing up, you're heavily influenced by the media you consume and like the viewpoints of your parents. It's why most people like when you're voting in polls, like for government decisions, like you just kind of vote with whatever your parents are doing. And I don't know, I'm not sure how to like illuminate on that point specifically, but like how we're seeing the characters viewing their world versus everything else. Yeah. Especially when we pair that with, Hinamizawa being like an isolated place from the rest of the world. And Japan being isolated from other countries. They're like isolationist policies. Like there's a lot of really cool through lines that Higurashi is drawing between the characters' internal struggles and the external struggles of the politics of the town that they live in and of Japan and their own like external policies, which is really clever.
All right.
Anyway, let's go on to number 30 here. Screen 5.
Screen 5.
I need to get some food after this. Yay! All right, capsules required. I am getting exhausted. I feel like I haven't eaten in hours. I'm getting hungry.
We've been at this for a good few hours.
Yeah, we should take a break after this one. Get some food. Hello! hello. Good afternoon. Who are you? Sorry, we just moved in next door. We're here to introduce ourselves. Pleased to meet you. You want to play old lady?
Oh my. Someone as young as you moved here? I see. Welcome. Mom, our new neighbor is here to say hello.
Don't yell like that. Thank you for taking the time to come over.
They're the Ryugu family. They just moved into the empty house next door.
Cute. Oh, you're Rena-chan, aren't you? How you've grown. Yes, I'm Rena. Thank you for remembering. How?
Mom, do you know her?
Of course I do. You were living in Okanomiya then, so you probably don't remember, but they used to live next door, so you came back. Oh, this village is better than the big city, is it? I don't remember much because I was so small when I lived here, but I feel like this is where I belong. Then you'll fit right in. If there's anything we can do, if you let us know. Oh, there's no need to hesitate. Being unreserved is the rule here, after all. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I thought I'd remember things if I walked around the village, but I still don't remember much. I do recall, however, the vivid breeze as well as the brilliant greenery. I don't remember the village, but I remember that this is my hometown. Red scars still remain on my body. They're hardly visible and I can't even feel them. I'm sure they'll disappear soon, as scars tend to do. Now that I'm back in Hinamizawa, sometimes I wonder who I was back in Ibaraki. In fact, I think I wasn't myself from the moment I left, and now by coming back here to my roots, I finally regained my true self. I can hardly remember what I was like back in Ibaraki. Well, that's probably because of the red medicine. The medicine erased all my painful memories. Maybe that was for the best. I just wanted to be forgiven back then. I couldn't forgive my mother. I couldn't forgive Uncle Akihito, and more than anybody, I couldn't forgive myself. I wanted somebody to acknowledge that I wasn't at fault. She wanted forgiven for an external source to justify herself. I love it. I wanted to be forgiven. So, Oyashirasama apologized. She told me I wasn't at fault because it was the curse of Oyashirasama. That's how I was able to forgive myself. I didn't have to die by tearing my blood vessels out of my body. I think people have to die because they become corrupted. That's why people try their hardest not to dirty themselves all their lives. But I'm still living, despite how dirty I am. I've been allowed to live. Is there still some filth left in me? Or am I all clean? I don't know. The only thing I know is that the me who lived in Ibaraki and the me who's here right now are two completely different people. Possibly even have different names. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I no longer feel the need to take responsibility by ripping myself apart because of that filth. Traveling through the city, or the town, the village. After arranging some furniture and unpacking some boxes, we finally had some dinner. Although I hardly remember Hinamizawa, my father remembers things very clearly.
Fuck, what was his voice?
I think you tried to do a voice like Rena.
Oh, yeah,
Did you do
yeah,
a cowboy
yeah,
voice? It was really great.
Although it was around when we lived here before, the Watanagashi Festival has grown huge these days. It's held at the end of June.
Watanagashi, that comes some kind of spice?
I've never seen it myself, so I don't know too much about it. But supposedly people let cotton absorb the filth in their bodies and drift it down the stream.
That sounds like just what I want. Ah! Absorb the filth. You can wash your filth down the stream, huh?
Of course. Humans are sinners. As we live every day, filth piles up in our bodies, supposedly. And once a year we get rid of the filth by letting the cotton absorb it.
People become burdened with filth and sin by doing something bad. Court sentences consider your crimes legally, but that doesn't mean the burden of sin and the filth will just go away. In other words, human hands can't erase human filth in this human-ass world. In this human world. The filth is something humans can't get rid of, and that's why we need a god from a different world to do that. That's what I thought. But I'm surprised to learn about Watanagashi. Human hands erasing human filth in the human world. Letting the cotton absorb the filth and drifting it down the stream, that means it's okay to live in this world. I tried to commit suicide because I thought I couldn't forgive myself. Oyashirasama apologized to me and told me to come back to Hinamizawa. And now, here in Hinamizawa, there's this Watanagashi, a ceremony to get rid of the filth. This isn't just a coincidence. Hinamizawa is a place to wash away your filth. It forgives sins. It is a place of forgiveness.
It's called a Purification Ceremony.
Nailed it. Oh, I've heard of those before.
Japanese culture is very strict about filth. You aren't allowed to remain in the spotlight if you accumulate too much. So that's the reason why politicians and company presidents resign immediately once people find out about their dirty deeds. Is that why? Is that why? Is that why?
It's interesting.
You must leave the spotlight if you're filthy. To put it in a bad way, the filth is basically pushed down to someone else and they're held responsible for it.
It's an interesting way of phrasing like responsibility and like honor as a concept as well. Like it kind of ties into that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's an interesting way of thinking about it. Sins and filth must be removed. That's why people push them onto somebody else and then try to get rid of the filth by sacrificing that person. But if that's the case, every time that filth is created, people try to pass around responsibility for it. It's awfully hideous. It's almost like seeing demons in the human world. That's why they came up with the idea of letting the cotton absorb all the filth. By doing so, people can live without making someone else take on all the responsibility, sins, and the filth. Putting everyone's sins onto someone and then killing that person makes that person a sacrifice. Who wants to be a sacrifice? That's why they desperately push their sins around. A purification ceremony is about replacing the human sacrifice with a non-human one. So that maybe a whole town wouldn't have to be gas a couple years from now.
That's an interesting suggestion, Ben.
That is a very interesting one. Look, I like it. I'm enjoying this. Like, I know you've like talked a lot about Modes of Myth. I can't add too much to that conversation, but like, I like that we're having it illuminated from Rena's point of view. How she's talking about like sin and like filth and how we create like we create myths as like teaching tools, but also to push responsibility onto beings, like essentially beings that can't defend themselves, which is like an exciting idea that's being portrayed in such a like holy way here. Like, what if God's responsible for my sins? Then I don't have to worry about it. But it's like, it's so positively and honestly portrayed here. I can't help but get sucked in.
Yeah.
The Purification Ceremony dramatically changed Japanese culture. Before then, people always believed someone had to become a sacrifice. In other words, even with filth, everyone could live without blaming somebody else. Filth can be forgiven by a method other than death. Only in existence higher than humans can forgive them. I was forgiven by Oyashirasama and came back to this place, toward Nagashi, the Purification Ceremony that exists here. Letting cotton absorb the filth and drifting it away. There's no need for a sacrifice. That's why I've been allowed to live. The filth in me has drifted away, so the me that remains is no longer Rena Ryugu. If I'm not Rena, then who am I? If I'm without filth and sin, without all the icky things, then who am I? A name vaguely appeared in my head. My new name that only removes one of the letters from Rena, but I think it's a pretty cute name. All the icky things are erased and forgiven with the removal of that one letter. So my name is no longer Rena. My name is...
What?
Cut to black. It's so good. Wasn't this fragment called the introduction of Rena Ryugu?
Yes.
I love that. I love that so much.
It's very simple.
I don't care. I love that it's simple.
I know, I'm saying that as an appreciative note.
Good. I'm glad. It's simple and honest and cute, and I love it. And I hope that Rena shows up in more of these fragments because she's adorable and she does have a cute name. Guys, she's back, baby. She's back.
Or she's here because this is the time going
She's
forwards.
here in the past.
It's very confusing.
Moving forwards.
Is that 30 now? Have we done 30?
I sure hope so. Otherwise, we're off track. Yep, that's it.
All right.
For today, we're done.
Thank you very much for joining us, everybody.
Thanks.
Only 22 to go.
Yeah, see you next time.